Local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is The Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Dennis Webster is our guest. Dennis is our go-to guy for books.
Yes, sir.
Whenever we talk books, we go to Dennis, right?
Right.
Yeah. And Dennis is 12 books?
Correct.
Yeah. And working on 13, we're going to talk about all of that. First, we're going to say welcome. It's good to see you. It's been too long since the last time you were in here. What are you working on now?
I'm working on a book called Haunted Adirondacks.
Okay. Haunted is haunted and mysterious and things like that are a theme that go through your books.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something about that line attracts me, I guess.
And it attracts the public. There seems to be a good audience for these kinds of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in not only the history of the places that I go through, but also what could be creeping in the shadows.
Yeah. What was your first book?
It was called Daisy, Daring, and the Quest for the Loomis Gang Gold, which was historical fiction. Mm-hmm. But I've tend to get away from that now. I tend to mostly write nonfiction now because I'm so fascinated by history.
Yeah. What was your next one after that?
It was Adirondack Mysteries. It was a collection of short stories. And then my first nonfiction book was Wicked Mohawk Valley.
Yeah. And Wicked Mohawk Valley talked about some of the people around here that, that weren't such nice people, yes?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Some of the bootleggers and some of the people that Mary Runkle, who was hung in Whitesboro, in the original town court. It's really interesting stuff.
And the book that you're working on now is going to be about the Adirondack. Somebody told me once, and I think that's probably true, if you can get the word Adirondack in the title of a book, you're going to sell books no matter what it's about.
It's true.
Yeah.
You could call it Adirondack toilet paper and it would probably sell.
Yeah, yeah. There's a big interest in the Adirondacks.
There is.
And where are you going for this book? What kinds of things are you looking at?
Well, I've been going up to Lake Placid and I've been going to Lake George, all the big main areas, Old Forge. Lake Placid was very fascinating to me. Some of the haunted locations up there, Pulpit Rock especially, is really gruesome story. And supposedly her spirit hangs above the waters, but I'm not sure if you know that story about this woman. Huh. Well, it's in the spot near Pulpit Rock on Lake Placid. It's 100 feet deep. She disappeared in 1933, this lady, and she was missing for 30 years. In 1963, some college students decided to practice scuba diving, and they found her body on the bottom of the lake. Because it never gets above 30 degrees, she was perfectly preserved. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't. No.
And they found her with an anchor tied around her neck. But supposedly her spirit hangs on the rock and above the water out there.
Was anybody ever brought to trial for this?
No, they deemed it a suicide, which is really unusual because, I mean, she had an anchor tied around her neck.
Yeah.
But they're saying, but what forensics did they have in 1963?
Yeah. What do you have a time frame for finishing this up, bringing it to print?
They're going to have it out by spring. I have by December 1st to get it to the publisher, and then they just got to put it all together and go through the editing process.
Yeah. Do you like the writing process?
I do.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I think you got to have a love for it. You know, there's a Yiddish term called ribe tukis, which means put your bottom in the chair and write. And to me, that's the favorite part.
Yeah, I got to remember that because I don't have enough of that in me.
Yeah.
I find other things to do besides putting my seat in the chair. Are you a fast writer?
Actually, I am, and I'm not a very good writer when it comes to things like grammar, syntax, stuff like that. Really, thank God I have a very good editor who will go through it. I call someone like that a word engineer. I tend to just write really loose, really quick, because it's almost like when it's in, I'm trying to as quickly get it out of my mind on the paper as possible.
Do you type on a computer or on a typewriter?
Yeah, on a laptop, which is unique because I've been around so long. My first book, I hand wrote it on legal pads, and then I typed it on a typewriter. How about that?
Manual typewriter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started on a manual typewriter, and I don't know that I could go back to writing that way. I mean, it's just so tough.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because there's something about the romanticism of typing on a typewriter, right? The clacking of the keys and the rhythm of it. You know, you just don't get that on a computer.
Well, that's true, but you can't move around sentences and paragraphs, and you know, I mean,
Lots of whiteout.
lots of whiteout. Yeah. The book that you are most happy with. Can you name one?
I would say it would be the Old Main book that you have there next to you, Joe. Only because that was it was years of research to write
I'm gonna hold that up.
That's the original title is Lunatic Asylum at Utica, New York, which everybody knows Old Main.
Right.
That's the first complete history book on the place. I found fragmented pieces of history all over the place, from Oneida County History Center to Utica College to Albany, New York. I had to go to compile that book.
There's a fascination with Old Main, the Utica Lunatic Asylum. I remember when a few years ago when New York State, which owns the building, opened it for public tours. My goodness, they wound around the block.
3,000 people showed up for that tour. Yeah.
I don't know, any thoughts that you've done a lot of research on the building, but any thoughts on what could be used, that building could be used for, Dennis?
Oh gosh, they could do a lot with it. I think if they keep at least the front Greek Doric column portion in the middle, they could make either a museum out of it or some kind of research center or something. They could do something with it, really. It's so darn beautiful.
And the public is really interested in it, and that's half the battle right there.
It's true. I mean, you don't want to tear something like this down. Once it's gone, it's gone. The Landmark Society will tell you, that group, they're very interested in this place and trying to preserve it.
I'm looking at your shirt, CABVI, where you work when you're not writing, and you got a new director down there, or soon to be a new director, right?
Yeah, Ed Welsh, a very well-known person who's on your show quite a bit.
Yep. We're wishing Ed good luck in that new job, and we wish you good luck in your new book. We'll talk some more about writing and about some of his books. Dennis Webster is our guest. Short break, right back.